LinkedIn is going to be the game in town until some type of tech disrupts it. I really think that's what it's going to take. I mean, LinkedIn right now is about 850 million strong. There have been a lot of competitors that have tried to unseat it, and I just don't think that's going to happen. So like it or hate it, right now, LinkedIn is the game in town. One of the things that I like to point out to people is that most social media is designed for B2C. LinkedIn is the only social media that is specifically designed for B2B. It came into creation because the founders wanted to be able to connect the right business people for the right opportunities. It was created as a searchable database. And keywords are everything. A lot of people really don't understand how to use it to their best advantage. So definitely what I am trying to do is help you to change your mindset and to become more comfortable and confident about the way you use LinkedIn. So I'm going to dive straight into the PowerPoint. I am going to say, if you have what you think is a really important question, don't put it in the chat. Go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and interrupt me. One thing that I know about questions is if you wait until the end of the presentation, you'll forget why you wanted to ask that question. It kind of loses its juice. So please do ask your questions in real time. If you prefer, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I am going to have you participate. There will be times that I'll ask you to add some answers into the chat and to participate in some polls. So let's get started with the PowerPoint. And Bill, can you tell me, can you see my slide presentation?
The top 3 LinkedIn secrets for financial professionals, September 12th by Angela Duns. Yes.
Excellent. So I like to start out using a question. So what is the most common way that business comes to you? And if you're like most people, the answer is going to be referrals. Now I have an interesting story to tell you. I was going to give a referral to somebody that I know the other day. And I thought, well, you know, I should just look at their LinkedIn profile before I send this person to their profile. And what I found out was that he doesn't do what I thought he did, or he hasn't updated his profile. And I was really curious. So I gave him a call and I said, hey, do you still do this thing I want to send somebody to? And he's like, oh, no, I don't do that anymore. And I said, well, maybe you should update your LinkedIn profile. And he's like, oh, I don't think it really matters that much. And I said, well, I was just going to send somebody to you for that thing. And there's probably other people that are doing it also. And we all know that that's really not very good business. So does it matter if your LinkedIn profile is up to date? Does it matter if it speaks to your referral partners? I really think that it does. So really start thinking about your LinkedIn profile, not just in the context of your ideal audience, but also in your referral relationships. So the next question I have for you, and I really want you to think about this, and please do pop some answers into the chat. I'm curious why you are on LinkedIn. There's no wrong answer to this question. There's lots of different answers to this question. You know, you could be there to be driving traffic to your website or to a calendar link, to establish credibility, to increase your visibility with your ideal audience, to be a thought leader. There's so many different reasons that you can be on LinkedIn. So think about, why are you on LinkedIn? What is your main purpose? Because everything that you do on LinkedIn should be supporting the purpose why you are there. LinkedIn is not a magic wand. It actually takes some effort and some thought to make it work for you. So you really want to think about, why are you there? And are all your activities on LinkedIn supporting that purpose? So Bill, thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm so excited about talking to this audience. I really do want to help people that intend to use LinkedIn to build their business, do it in a much more confident and effective way. LinkedIn can be a rabbit hole. And I hope that I'm going to clear up a whole bunch of things. So Joyce, if you want to go ahead and let's start us out with that first poll. I want to get people really thinking about LinkedIn. So when did you last update your LinkedIn profile? Last week, last month, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, over a year ago, or you're supposed to update your LinkedIn profile? And depending on how many people have answered, Joyce, wait until you get to about 75 or 80%, and then you can go ahead and close that poll.
I think we're at 100%.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. And then go ahead and let's see what the results are from that. Oh, we've got some last weekers and last month. Oh, that's awesome. And over a year ago, wow, one thing that I know for sure is that business has shifted a great deal. I mean, even 6 months ago, we may not be doing exactly the same thing for exactly the same people. So you really want to think about, how are you using LinkedIn, and are you up to date with things? So what are the best uses of LinkedIn? Definitely, a lot of people think that LinkedIn is a conversion tool. It is not a direct converting tool. It is part of the process, but these are some of the best uses. Nurturing your referral relationships, establishing credibility and awareness for what it is that you do, driving traffic to your website or a calendar link, and staying top of mind. So really think about LinkedIn in that context. So here we go. What are the top 3 secrets of LinkedIn? Secret number 1 is above the fold. When somebody looks at your profile, that first view that you can see in one computer screen, how many seconds do you think they take to look at that before they're on to the next profile? And go ahead and pop your answers into the chat. I'm just curious, what do you think are the answers to that? It's a couple of answers. Great, that's awesome. The actual answer is 5 seconds. You get 5 seconds to make an impression or to possibly lose a prospect forever. If they're not impressed with what they see, and here's the way people think, if you don't care about your LinkedIn profile, why should they? So you want to make sure that you take the time to make it a great representation of who you are and what you do. So I want you to start thinking about LinkedIn as your digital business card. And we're going to look at a couple of examples, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here's my friend, Sarah Tetlow. Now, if you look at her headline, this area that's right below her name, she tells you what the company name is all about. She's the CEO. She helps firms help their lawyers focus. So Firm Focus is the name of her business. You don't have to wonder what that means. She answers that question right away. And then she tells you she's a productivity coach, a consultant, and a speaker for the legal industry and beyond. She's got a beautiful logo in her company spot right here. Lets you know what her education is. Her photo is super simple, neutral background, head and shoulders only, friendly and approachable, well lit from the front. It's an excellent photo. And look at how great her banner goes with this whole thing. This definitely does look like a very beautifully designed business card. And this is, if this is what you're looking for, you're going to look further. She tells you up front so you can decide yes or no immediately. So here's my friend, Patricia. She's an estate planner with heart. Now, Patricia is a single mom, and she bakes a lot of apple pies. And so she's built that into her branding. Now, if you're going to talk about really touchy financial subjects like estate planning and legacy and that sort of thing, wouldn't you rather talk to a mom who really cares and bakes apple pies. Now, this is a fabulous example of branding. She's got a little apple icon right here. The apple motif goes throughout her banner. She's even wearing her green color in her photo. Again, friendly and approachable, head and shoulders, neutral background, goes beautifully with her banner. Her logo fits into the whole thing so perfectly. It's a really great example of branding, and it looks like a digital business card. So one more example, my friend Wendy. She deconstructs her logo and she says, this is what these 4 points on the compass stand for: operational excellence, financial structure, people, and market identification. That's what she focuses on. Now, she's gone a step further, and she has added a clickable link in her above the fold view. This is the best feature LinkedIn has ever come out with. So if you click this, it takes you directly to her calendar, and you can schedule an exploratory call with her and find out if you guys might be a good fit. And she tells you what is the size of business that she works with: small to mid-size. She's a visionary officer and a CEO. She's a strategic partner, providing business strategy and management consulting. So excellent job of branding on this one. And then here's one that's a little bit more in the creative space, a little more artistic. Now, your banner is something that immediately helps create an emotional connection to you. Best use of it is anything that is going to create credibility, emotional connection, or identification with exactly what it is that you do. Now, she does valuations for artwork, and she definitely connects the dots with the banner that she uses. Really simple, very artistic, very eloquent. So before we dive into poll number 2, Joyce, I just want to check and see if there's any questions from anybody. I went through that fairly quickly.
Not a question, but I'm impressed, given how you made those really did look like business cards, the way you framed them there. That was really, they all look very nice.
I don't have a question either, but I do have a comment. And again, going back to what Bill just said, one of the things that I love about what you pointed out is that everything is well designed. I mean, even if it's a solopreneur, it looks like a company, it looks like a corporation, it looks like it's a staff of many, which is really, really important with LinkedIn, in my opinion. And also the headshots. The headshots are clean and they're nice, and they're just like, you can see the person. It translates something from their brand to nicety to, I want to connect, I want to engage. I love that.
So you have a question in the chat right here from David. How do you set up a banner? Either Angela or Renee, either one of you might want to take that one real quick.
Well, there's lots of different ways to do it. You really want to think about, now here's where the whole discussion of personal and professional branding comes to an intersection. And so you really want to think about, who am I as a person, and how does that represent my brand and create credibility? And so the banner is something that really needs to be both an expression of you as a person and as a professional. And we saw how Patricia did it, establishing herself as a mom that cares and bakes apple pies and does estate planning. A lot of people think that branding is something that's like rocket science, and it's not. It can be very simple and very eloquent. So you really want to think about, who am I? What do I stand for? What is it that I do for my clients? And how can I express that in the banner? The banner is the biggest piece of real estate you have on LinkedIn. And you want to use that to create emotional connection and establish your credibility. Now, the easiest way to do that is to come up with some sort of an image. I mean, I have friends that have just taken very simple images that represent their brand and then put the branding on top using Canva, which is a free graphic design tool. I'm happy to talk to any of you about your banner, and I'm sure Renee would as well. He's definitely a visual branding person. Banners are, it takes some thought and intention to create a great banner. But once you get it right, it almost does the conversion for you. So you really want to think about how can you represent your Canva, C-A-N-V-A, and I'll make sure that Bill has a link to that so that when they send out the follow-up email, you can have that as a resource. It's really an excellent tool. For me, it's a rabbit hole. I go in there and I don't come out. So, Joyce, have you got that poll ready? I'll put up that neutral background and let's vote.
I'm still seeing.
Sorry, I know. I'm trying to get the other one down and I don't see it.
Uh-oh.
Okay, stop sharing. Relaunch. You know, it's the next poll is not, it's not allowing me to share it.
And that's,
Can you
and
try hitting it? Maybe you can try doing this. Bill.
let's see if I can find it.
Let me try. Let me see here what I can. Poll question number 2. Here we go.
Oh, good. It's not
There we
coming
go.
from my computer.
Oh, thank you, Derek, for adding that address. And Bill, are you sharing it? There it is.
Thanks.
So how much time do you actually spend on LinkedIn? 10 to 15 minutes a day or more? You check in 2 or 3 times a week, once a week, a couple of times a month, or a couple of times a quarter? How are we doing, Bill? What percentage are we at?
We're at 90%. So 20, we're 95%.
Who voted?
One more person. There we go.
Oh, we have a lot of people, 43% in 10 to 15 minutes a day. So almost everybody is using it weekly. Only a couple of you that are not using it on a weekly or a daily basis. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So let's jump back into the PowerPoint and talk about best practices for the above the fold view. So you want to make sure that your headshot is current and it's excellent quality. It's inviting, head and shoulders only. My sort of benchmark is if you're going to meet somebody, because we are starting to meet each other in person again, for the very first time in a coffee shop, are they going to be able to recognize you? Or is it going to be a real struggle for them? That is definitely not a good way to start a meeting. So banner, we talked quite a bit about that. Company logo, that is definitely something that's really important. Your education, should you choose to share that. And I'm going to tell you a secret about that. I share my undergraduate because that university is much more recognizable than where I got my 2 master's degrees from. University of Wisconsin-Madison is much more recognizable than either Cardinal Stritch or Edgewood. So use whatever, because the number one way for people to connect on LinkedIn is alma mater. So use the one that serves you best. Contact information. I demonstrated that clickable link and how that shows up on Wendy's profile. And then your headline. Your headline is really the most important thing of that above the fold view. Does it clearly state who you serve, what problem you solve, and the results that you bring someone once you work with them? So really keep those things in mind for that above the fold view. My benchmark for a headline is this: can I hire you after reading your headline alone? And in my humble opinion, this is the best headline on LinkedIn. Herb says, buying another property is not your only option in a 1031 exchange. I provide alternatives to your run-of-the-mill like-kind replacement properties. And then here's an invitation. Let's talk about your options. And don't we all want to have options and alternatives? And then he's bold enough to put his mobile number right there so that you can easily get a hold of him if he is the right person. Excellent use of the headline space. So I'm going to stop the sharing and I'm going to ask Joyce to get us queued up for a breakout session. 2 people in each breakout for about 5 minutes. Now, this is what you guys are going to do. You're either going to cut and paste your headline from your LinkedIn profile and share it in the chat in your breakout session, or you can actually use the LinkedIn URL and have somebody go and review that whole above the fold view. But what I want you to focus on is, how can you improve your headline? What's clear about your headline and what leaves room for improvement? And here are the 3 questions again. Who do you serve? What problem do you solve? And what results do you bring? And if you're ready, Joyce, let's go ahead.
Bill, you'll do that, right?
I'll do that in a second. I'm going to type the 3 things in the chat before we do that, though.
I'll type them in and you can get the breakout ready.
I got 2 of them in, so just the 3rd one. We're down to 21 people, so I've 5 minutes, you said?
Yes.
2 people for 5 minutes. All right.
Bill, you're not going to go into one of the rooms?
Maybe I will. Let me just set it here. Okay, I'll go join one of the rooms here for a couple minutes.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 203-767-0401 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
No, Harry, but I had a problem running a poll today on a Zoom call. It wouldn't go to the next. I mean, it ran the first one, and then I had 2 more, and it wouldn't.
That's right. Joyce is still here.
Yes,
Um,
did
yeah, I
you?
was thinking, oh, we got Jeff coming in the room. I should keep him company or let him know what we're doing. So, Jeff, if you're with us, we've everybody's in breakout rooms for the next 2 minutes, so we'll all be back here very, very shortly.
All right, thank you.
Bill, I don't know what went on with that poll question. I'm still trying to get to the next one and it's not allowing me. So I'm gonna call my co-partner today and find out what I did wrong, what's going on here and why you were able to see it and I can't.
So up at the top, right above where it says Untitled Poll, there's a
Yeah.
little drop down. You see that?
Poll close.
No,
Oh,
right
yeah,
at
let's stop. Yes. Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay.
And then you can go to, when she's ready for poll number 3, you can make it go to number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I just figured that out on the fly myself. I've never
Oh, my goodness. Yeah,
set up or load the polls,
never saw that before, so thank you for that. Oh,
of course.
I don't do them too often, so as you could tell.
Well, we've
but-
got 1 more minute on the breakouts left, so very short.
I really have to learn the breakouts too, but that's.
I noticed we had several people drop right out when we started the breakouts too. It's like, come on,
Yeah,
people, it's a networking group. Talk to each other.
I know. I have that happen a lot.
So not only do you got to get your LinkedIn in shape, you got to get your networking in shape.
Exactly.
All right, it's been 5 minutes. I'm going to close them here in another. I'm giving everyone an extra minute. I'll close them here in a minute. And I think they should all be doing pretty well talking, but I'll give them another minute. Yeah, I know some people watch and do other stuff. That's we do record we are recording the meeting, Jeff, just so you know. You joined in during it. You should see that it's being recorded. It'll get posted to our YouTube channel and to the Thing website. So anybody that does miss it still has a chance to hear Angela speak. But you know, we do try to keep the meetings as interactive as possible. Everybody at the start gave an introduction, and you know, the goal is to get talking during the presentation as well. All right, I'll close and bring everybody back in 60 seconds. Here everybody comes. Maybe.
Slowly returning.
Yeah. Here we are.
Oh,
All right.
so how was that, everybody? Did you guys get some insights on how to improve things? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's awesome. Yeah, it's
Audio is gone.
you know,
No audio for me.
I am one of those people that I really need a kick in the pants to work on my own LinkedIn profile. It's probably the least sexy thing you could do. You know that saying about the cobbler's kids run barefoot? It's always great to get somebody else's set of eyes on your LinkedIn profile to give you feedback, because we're like, it's good enough. It's good. It's not. If it's not clear to your ideal target audience, it's not good enough. So it's always a great idea to get another set of eyes on things. So I'm going to dive back into the PowerPoint presentation and we'll carry on. So, secret number 2. It's not about you. I don't know how you feel about that when I say that, but your LinkedIn profile is not about you. This is one of the absolute biggest mistakes on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is about your entry-level ideal client. Now, if you're in transition and you're looking for your next best employer, your ideal client, your audience is that person that's going to hire you. So it's HR, it's the CEO, it's the hiring manager, it's whoever it is that's on that decision-making committee. If you are an independent, it is your entry-level client. Now, once people come into your world, of course they love you, and then your LinkedIn profile is not speaking to them anymore. So you do not have to speak to everyone with your LinkedIn profile. Who is that entry-level person or referral partners that's going to look at it, and are you speaking directly to them? So starting out your about section saying, I have 15 years experience doing blah, blah, blah is probably going to yield you crickets. No one cares. They want to know how you can help them first. Then your experience is the second thing that they care about. First of all, you have to engage them. You have to tell them what you can do for them. So here's an example from one of my friends. He starts out with a statistic and he turns it into a question. Did you know that 71% of US companies have reported suffering at least one data breach? Ouch, that's pretty high. So that will definitely draw you in if you're somebody that cares about that. And then here's my friend, Dr. Sally. She says, I'm leading a revolution. And then she makes a couple of bold statements. And if that's you, please join me. So it's an invitation. She follows that up with a couple of statistics and some broken hearts about the way our health might be. Definitely an invitation for you to come into her world if these are things that you care about. So best practices for the about section. You want to speak directly to your entry-level ideal audience or your referral partners. How do you do that? Use a statistic. Ask some qualifying questions. Tell us a story. What was the biggest challenge that ever came to you? What was the solution that you came up with together? And then what was the result for that client? Everybody loves to look at a bulleted list. So what is the list of services that you offer, the audiences that you serve, the results that people can enjoy if they've worked with you? Those are just some suggestions. And then use some personalization and make a bold statement. Those are things that will really pull people into your profile. So, Bill, have we got poll number 3 ready to go? So how big is your network? Less than 500 first connections? 500 to 1,000? 1,000 to 5,000? Or 5,000 to 10,000 or more? And I am going to tell you that LinkedIn is definitely a numbers game. The number of connections you have matter. Now, I have a few people in my network that have 30,000 connections. That's the limit on LinkedIn. And if one of them pays attention to anything that I do in the news feed, if they like, comment, or share, that means potentially their entire network gets to see what I've just posted. So numbers matter. And the quality of the people in your network also matter. How are we doing, Bill? Has everybody voted? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That 1,000 to 5,000 space seems to be where almost, well, a large percentage of people are. Now, my question for you is this. Are you actively working to build your network? And are you actively working to supersaturate your network with ideal entry-level clients? That's who you want to see in your network, and referral partners. So I'm going to jump right back into the PowerPoint and we'll finish up and hopefully have a couple minutes for questions. So, final secret. Secret number 3 is be social. LinkedIn is still a social media network. So many people have this misconception that they have to have some sort of a professional persona when they go into LinkedIn. Well, I have to act like a professional. I have to be this. I have to be that. And I think we miss the mark. If you're authentic, if you're being truly who you are and not putting on some persona or facade, people are going to naturally be attracted to you and they're going to be the right people. So how do you change this whole misconception about how to show up on LinkedIn and be more social? Well, the number one way, in my opinion, is to send people a welcome message. You know, there's that really odd point in a relationship where somebody accepts your connection request, right? And even if it was somebody that you were just dying to get into your network, it's like, okay, they connected, now what? There's kind of an awkwardness there. So break that awkwardness by sending them a welcome message. And all you need to say in that welcome message is, thank you so much for connecting. First name, welcome to my network. Now, as simple as that message is, 80% of the time I will get an answer from this particular message. Now you actually have a conversation going. It's going in both directions. And that is much better of an icebreaker and a conversation starter and a relationship builder than not welcoming them to your network. So the next thing is use some profile personalization. You know, it's 2 to 3 sentences in the about section that talk about things that interest you. I tell people that I was a high school rodeo champion, and that legitimizes the name of my business, Cowgirl Creative Coaching. I'm also a Packer fan, and I'm super sad today. Lost. Oh, it was a horrible game yesterday. Horrible game. The number 2 way that people connect on LinkedIn is through sports. You have no idea how many conversations I have with people I've never met before in a coffee chat, and they'll say something about sports or horses because I've given them 2 wonderful entry points in my personalization in my about section. So definitely an easier way to start a relationship than having someone try to formulate an intelligent question about LinkedIn. It's very intimidating. So very best uses of LinkedIn are relationship building, creating and nurturing relationships, and driving traffic. At the end of the day, it is all about timing, budget, need. Those 3 things have to come together. And 7 out of 10 buyers are influenced by social. So what is your perceived value on the digital platform and primarily on LinkedIn? And did you know that 72% of your potential clients are checking out your LinkedIn profile before they check out your website or anything else? What is the impression they're walking away with? And this is the statistic that really kills me. LinkedIn is the smallest social media platform out there. Even TikTok is about 10 times bigger than LinkedIn. But 52% of all social media traffic on the web is driven to websites from LinkedIn. And that's because people think it is a much more credible source. Now, that's a fabulous opportunity if you are doing a good job on LinkedIn. If you are not, it's a huge opportunity for you to improve your business development efforts. So here are the top 3 secrets. You get 5 seconds to make an impression or lose a prospect, possibly forever. Number 2, LinkedIn is not about you. It's about what you do for others and who you serve. And number 3, use personalization. It is the game, set, and match on LinkedIn. Try not to hide behind a persona or a facade. Be you, and be you abundantly. So it all starts with the personal and professional branding. Optimize your profile so it's found by the right people. Do simple business development things as often as possible and stay visible. So thank you so very much. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. I'm going to invite all of you to go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn and keep the conversation going. And then I also have a link for you to visit a resource page that has a couple of resources that might be useful to you as well.
All right. Thank you, Angela. And any questions?
Bill, I have a question for Angela.
Yeah.
So Angela, there's all these AI systems that are out there right now, where I'm sure you've come across them as well as many people on this, where they're connecting with hundreds of people on LinkedIn, and they're building this platform to say, I want to connect with you once you accept, and then they hit you with messages, like 1 to 3 different strategic messages over the course of it. It could be a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And I was interested in this because that's how somebody got connected to me. And I'm like, oh, I don't, how did this happen? But now it seems like it's happening more and more. And do you find that, like, I'm sure everybody on here gets bombarded, right, with LinkedIn request. And then once you accept it, there's a ton of messages that come from people that you don't really know, or that you might not ever think to do business with. And I was just curious what your thoughts were, because it seems to be much more commonplace, especially within the last probably few months.
There's about 100 questions in there.
I know.
And I'll try to hit the surface of that.
Okay.
There used to be the possibility of sending 100 invitations a day on LinkedIn. Now it's 100 invitations per week. It's been a year. It's been a full year that LinkedIn really clamped down on that. That was their attempt to reduce some of this. Now, secondly, I recommend that everybody have a connection strategy. Make very definitive choices about who you want in your network and who you don't. Now, those people who are spamming, they're actually using AI that is in violation of their user agreement. I block them. If they get blocked 10 times, they get pulled from LinkedIn for 3 days, then 7 days, then permanently on a 3rd offense. So they're actually doing something that is risking everything that they're doing. Now, it is getting a little bit better, but should we go in there with our head in the sand or with our head up? Make sure that if somebody looks like they're going to try to sell you a website or a lead generation plan or something else, don't connect with them. Or be proactive and go ahead and block them and help them get exited off of LinkedIn, because I really, seriously, these people are ruining LinkedIn for the rest of us who are using it legitimately. It really makes me sad, Jacqueline. But yes, there are people that don't do business the old-fashioned way by actually developing a relationship and establishing that that person has a need first. Imagine that.
Well, that's really helpful to know about the blocking, because, and I don't know if it's because founder and CEO is in my title, but it is unbelievable the amount of things that are coming to me from LinkedIn. And so it just almost makes you not want to use the platform in the way that we have been using the platform since inception. And so I appreciate you, because now I'm just going to block all of those people, and hopefully that will stop
Thanks for
all of
joining
the
my cause.
solicitations. Yes.
That's actually a really good question. I've been blocking people for I don't know how long. But what I love the fact of something Angela mentioned about the old-fashioned way. I've been on LinkedIn since 2008. Since 2008, I've done hundreds of transactions with people through my network, through connections, but I've never done business direct, except for maybe around 11 times. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I'm connected with Angela. Angela and I will develop a relationship over time, and then she starts to refer me. I start to refer her. I start to mention her on different posts and things of that nature. So that's a way to really grow. As an example, last week I did exactly that. I mentioned one of my clients in a post, and from that I had 10 requests. I accepted 8. The other 2 didn't make sense. They were I kind of felt they were a little spammy, even though they were connected to my client. So I just think the old-fashioned ways are really the best way to go.
Yes.
Now, I will say that prior to the pandemic, I had an in-house person who handled my LinkedIn growth and LinkedIn communication. She handled everything for me. Since then, since the pandemic, I haven't had anyone. I am looking to hire somebody for that role again, but that's how I was able to manage it. Otherwise, it's just too much for me to do on my own. So I
And
had somebody to
let's chat afterwards. I have a recommendation for someone.
Okay. Yeah.
And Renee, someday we're probably going to collaborate as well.
It is the top of the hour. We'll probably hang here for a few more minutes. Any final questions, comments before? And Angela, if you have any final words. Jean has a question.
No, Angela, I just tried to connect with you on LinkedIn, but I don't see a button to do that. I clicked on the following button, but it didn't have a connect button. What's up with that?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. So I am using something called creator mode, and LinkedIn does not understand itself at all. And they think it's so much easier for someone just to follow you rather than to connect with you directly. And I'm like, what's the point? So go over to the 3 buttons, the ellipse over towards the middle of my profile, and click that. And in that menu, the drop-down menu, you'll see where it says connect. And so then you can send me a direct connection request. But what will happen, Jean, is if you only follow me, I will follow up and say, Jean, thank you so much for the follow, but I'd rather be directly connected. Connect
Okay.
if you're interested.
Yes, of course. I don't see those 3.
It's the more button, probably,
Yeah,
Gene.
it's the more button.
If you're on a PC, I think it's the more
Yeah.
button versus the 3 dots. If maybe on the
more.
mobile
Gotcha.
platform.
Okay, it does
Yeah.
say connect. Okay, I got it. All right, I'll send you a note, Angela.
Awesome. Thank you. That was a great question, because that is super confusing, and that is LinkedIn not understanding how users really connect on LinkedIn. It's,
Mhm.
I mean, why follow? I would rather have you be directly connected so that you can see my contact information, not
Right.
just my content, but my contact information as well.